All right, welcome. Let's call the Board of Directors meeting for May 18th, 2024 to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Denise, can we get a roll call, please?
Director Walper.
Here.
Director Martinez.
Here.
Director Berman. Director Johnston.
Here.
Director Shibahara.
Here.
Vice Chair Wheeler.
Here.
Chair Rydell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. And Denise, was the meeting properly notified?
Yes, it was.
Thank you very much. First up would be the adoption of the agenda.
Chair Adele, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
On to item C, Board of Directors reports, and we'll start with Director Walper.
Nothing.
Nothing for tonight, thank you. Director Shibahara.
Exciting. Well, I happened to be at the state choir competition at Oregon State on Friday. I was fortunate enough to be there when they found out they got second place, which was like very fun and exciting, and everybody was just super energized. And LeGrand was first place, which they've won for, I guess, many years in a row. But I think Frank and the choir kids are super excited, and they should be very proud. They've been working really hard to just continue to improve every year. So that was fun. And then just another thing that's kind of been fun is this new fall or spring sports. My son's been playing in the boys volleyball. They haven't won many, but they're getting better, and I think they're just having a lot of fun. Volleyball is fun, and it's fun to see that expand for the boys. I know there's other sports out there, but getting to see that. And then all the senior activities and scholarships and college decisions and all of that. Again, if you see me wandering around looking confused and lost, please help me. It's going to be a busy few weeks. So anyway, that's my report.
Awesome, thank you.
No reports.
None from Director Martinez. Director
I'll pass.
Johnson, you'll pass?
Yeah.
Director Wheeler?
I had the
Vice Chair Wheeler, sorry.
Yeah, get it right. I had the opportunity to attend DHP for a moment, the opening morning. It's always awesome to see all these people from around the country coming to take a look behind the curtain at Estacada and see what's going on. There's some familiar faces from adjacent school districts we saw. They must have liked the secret sauce from the last time they came. So anyway, good job, Superintendent Carpenter, opening it up, and the team for putting it all together. It was very professionally done, and I have a little bit of a bias. My kids helped greet all of the incoming people, and I thought them as well as the rest of the kids did a fantastic job. They were being more talkative than they ever are at the dinner table or any other time that I'm around them. So I was proud of the kids at large from the Escada School District. So good job, everybody.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right, I've got a list, but I'm gonna try not to duplicate. I would just add for the DHP, I was able to participate in a panel, and it was kind of the boardroom to the classroom, so everywhere from me to Ryan to building leadership to teachers to students, and it was just very, very well done. I was proud of the whole group. And then the student participation again. There's a lot of student participation that happens during that, and it's just a great reflection of the young leaders that our teachers are developing through the normal course of a school day. Choir, please second. Jazz band also qualified for state, and they're playing later this week. I think it's on Friday, so looking forward to hopefully another record win. That second place for the choir was the highest Estacada's ever placed. So hopefully jazz band can do the same thing. State solo was 2 weeks ago. We sent 2 people, and we got a 9th place and a 1st place. So it's a pretty good showing. First ever state solo voice winner. So it's pretty cool.
And who was it that got first?
I left the names out completely. First place was Andrew, my oldest, and 9th place was Hank, my youngest. So
Yay.
Very cool.
Spring Fling's coming up June 7th and 8th, so make sure you're there. It's going to be awesome. I think it's Broadway tunes this year, so
fun.
It should be a lot of fun. So some cool stuff coming. And then also the spring sports, to augment what Director Shibahara said, we had a girls flag football team that did, it was pretty awesome. A big shout out to the high school football coaches that participated. I went to one of their practices just because I was down building sets at the auditorium, and yeah, they were looking good, and the terminology, and it was a lot of fun to see a new group that the coaches are interacting with at a very high level. So it was really, really cool to see. And that's it for me.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, on to district reports. First up is communications. Come on down, Maggie and Danny.
Good evening. Tonight in communications, we'll first go over our projects in progress right now. We're putting together a 90-day rollout, which we do every year, and it's really for each leader of a building or department within our school system to talk about the wins, the barriers, and the next steps in their improvement science journey. It's a really powerful way to celebrate some of the wins, but also to hold ourselves accountable. We talk about the progress we've made and maybe some of the areas that we fell short and how we're going to tackle those in the next 90 days. So we're looking forward to getting that out to the community, and again, just being transparent about our progress and having our whole community understand where we're going as a district and what each of our buildings and departments is committing to continue to get better. We're also working on reunification communication. For anyone watching, we have our reunification coming up on May 23rd, and that will be for middle school families. So we're looking to expand that out shortly to our community so that they're just aware that it's going to be traffic heavy that day. We put it in the water bill recently just to expand that out to some folks in the city center that get a water bill so that they could see it, and we're just going to go through some other creative avenues to make sure both our families know, but also the community members that might be driving through that thoroughfare of town. And then additionally, we're continuing to urge voters to vote. Doesn't matter how you vote. We just have an important election coming up on May 21st, and we want to make sure that our community has their say in investing in our schools and our students. Thus far, as of midday Monday, we had 227 folks that had turned in their ballots. It's pretty early. We have 2 more weeks. But we'd like to continue to remind folks to get out to vote. So seeing who has voted, we can't see how they voted, but we can see whether or not they voted, and we can continue to remind folks. Completed projects, we did some school tour videos because we have low attendance for in-person events, so we did videos, and they've been really successful. Our highest watched tour video was the high school, and it reached over 13,000 people, and I believe around 1,500 sat down and watched it through, so that's really great to see. And then we had community and student perspective videos that we've been sharing. And again, we had one in particular that was very popular. It reached over 4,000 people and was viewed by almost 1,000. So that's also great to just have some of those informative pieces out in the community right now that are getting a lot of traction and views. And then lastly, wanted to celebrate our parent experience survey. We just finished up wrapping up the results for that, and we hit a record score in our parent experience survey. So I'm excited to dive more into that and celebrate some of the wins from that survey. I'll turn it over to Danny.
Okay, hi guys, thank you for having me. Rolling out, first thing we did was Kindergarten Connection. It was really great to meet a bunch of the new community members that are sending their babies off to school and showing them our welcoming elementary staff and buildings. So it was really nice to have them in there and answer any questions as far as scheduling. I answered all sorts of things about the bond and youth sports and anything that they really had questions about, and there was a lot of people that were new to our community completely, so it was a new face, new people, and it was nice to be a welcoming environment for them as they come into the Estacada School District. We've had 2 successful Facebook Lives since we saw you last. One, we had 2 community members who bravely sat there and answered questions from the community, and it was really great to have their perspectives and their points of view, and they were able to really explain thoroughly to the community why they were supporters and what their experiences with the school district have been so far. And then we had another one earlier this week. I will say that the questions seem to be limited, which I think is a great sign showing that we have informed people. So I think that we have done a really great job being transparent. We have answered questions thoroughly. The people that are asking questions, typically before we can even get to asking Superintendent Carpenter, we have community members responding with accurate information. So we're really pleased to see that involvement. Like Maggie mentioned, we've had a few testimonials. Again, it's very brave to sit in that room and talk about your story and explain why you're voting a certain way or why you're supportive of the school district, and I just really appreciate people putting their neck out and being able to sit there and tell their story and have Josh do such a great job letting them be themselves and comfortable and cutting it down to 2 minutes worth of, important points. I know it's challenging, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of that with our community members. And then we're just still hitting hard with the community communication. So ballots are in hand, people have questions, we have great community members fighting the good fight, making sure that facts are being shared or reaching out to us to make sure that they have the correct facts, writing opinion pieces. It's been really great to see both sides of our community being able to have some civil conversations and hopefully all show up to participate in the election.
Any questions?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that our dollars and cents per thousand has dropped. And if that's true, why don't we get that out to the public so that they can see what's going on?
So our last mailing that we sent out to community members was at 3/16, and the last that we've heard from Piper Sandler was that it's at 3/16. It probably will go down further after the election, but that's the last results that we got from them.
We checked with them, and that was the final number that they were comfortable giving us before we went out on ballot.
So it dropped a penny.
The truth is it probably has dropped. It's been dropping through the whole process. The challenge is now is the ballot language is cemented and the voter's pamphlet is cemented. And so we want to just be cautious about saying it's dropped, 10 cents, because then we're throwing 2 different numbers out there, what the bond says, the ballot says versus what we're saying. And we wanted to just stick with message consistency, but we will collect that win after we succeed, because we're going to say, hey, good news, since more people are coming in, interest rates are dropping, et cetera, this is actually going to cost less than. But we are locked into this rate until we successfully pass it.
And
I
I
was kind
think-
of hoping we could
I know.
get a little
The
win out of
original
that.
amount that we communicated was 355. So it definitely has gone down, and we communicated that every time it did go down, because like I said, originally it was at 355. We got down to $316, which is a perfect $2 increase, because you're paying $116 on the current bond. But we have to submit ballot language a certain amount of days before the election, and then it's a legally binding.
And the truth is it's not final until the day we're selling
Yes.
the bond.
Right.
All right, any
Great
other
question.
questions?
All right?
Thank you for all
Thank
your
you.
hard work. Appreciate you. All right, next up, Building and Facilities Report. Come on down, Mike. And every time I say that, I have to refrain from the Price is Right. Every time it runs through my head, so.
One of my favorites.
Your big, long, skinny Mike.
Exactly.
Rest in peace. All right, for your operations report tonight, just really going to highlight a lot of our capital improvement projects. And first, our Cooling Center, Clean Air Center grant project that is happening at the high school gym. We're progressing quite well. Over the last few weeks, we had the rooftop units installed and secured to the roof, and some electrical completed, first phases of electrical completed. Over the May break, and next week, we'll have a very tight window, but we're going to go very, very hard to get the final installation completed. I spoke to the contractor today, and they're hopeful, but we never know with construction projects what we might face in terms of our timeline and what we might uncover. So our goal is to have this project wrapped up, complete by next Friday, with the, understanding we might have to adjust it a little bit, which is good timing as we go into the hotter months, summer sports. Our reunification drill will be housed our middle school kids in that gym, so that'll be nice to have AC or controlled temperature in that environment. So progressing well on budget as of right now, and that's without even utilizing our $15,000 contingency that we put into this project here. So very excited about moving forward with this project. Additional capital project is the AC project, the mini split project at the middle school. Again, making really great progress over our spring break and over the last month and a half. May break will be another big push. Full installation will be completed by the end of next week. We will not go and actually turn on the system till the following week. We'll do a startup process, and then we have some training and professional development, if you will, training on how to utilize the system, and then working with each individual teacher on their controlled temperature and what they can do within their classrooms. This is on budget, which is very exciting to hear and see. We don't anticipate any change orders from now until the end of next week. The contractor has been very communicative and just really progressing, working on weekends, during long stretches of weeks that we don't have school, spring break, May break, and so we're very excited to get this done and close it out May 24th. And then finally, in our capital improvement projects, our seismic rehab project, we just finalized contracts with CMGC. We are planning to do a hazard material survey next week with our hazard company. They'll be out just checking the areas within the locker rooms and the main gym just to see what potential abatement needs will need to happen during the construction of 2025. So very early in the phase of this project, we'll start getting into design phases here shortly after, going into probably late summer, early fall, and I'm excited to be able to bring that to the board as we talk about potential opportunities that we could fold under this grant, and it's an approved expenditure like we did at Rivermill. And then finally, before I go to the questions, just as we go into May break, facilities, technology, again, another great opportunity for us to focus on some intentional work while we have our classrooms cleared, our buildings cleared of staff, preventative work, preventive maintenance, replacing filters, again, getting ready for the summer sports with our grounds, and doing other much needed work to get ready to end the school year. We do start planning and start the work on graduation prep right about now, and that's a big piece of it is the hedges and making sure that's dialed in and ready to go for our community and for our students to celebrate that great day. And so some logistics there and some other work that will be happening over next week, and a great opportunity for us just to tackle some bigger projects. Any questions?
So does that mean that when this hot weather comes after May break, we'll be able to keep some of our buildings cool this
Yes.
spring, early summer?
Yes. So when the hot summer comes, our gym will be fully temperature controlled, and the upstairs classrooms at the middle school will be temperature controlled.
Upstairs,
And so we're excited to stress test it, and, you know, when it's 90 to 100 degrees out, we want it to be 68, 70 degrees in those classrooms, which will have an impact on our students and our teachers.
So when we prepared the budget, did we, I saw in utilities, we padded it. Is this part of the reason why we're padding it?
Good question.
It's gonna go up. I mean, you know, especially if somebody can turn the air conditioning on.
It's going to be with limitations, and
I hope so.
yeah, but we do also want to have our teachers have that control to be able to monitor and temperature control their classrooms.
Deactuated?
Yep, and then the same with the gym. We'll have it in a space where we can control it, but with temperature sensors, so we can make sure that we're properly regulating that area. I do believe the 33% did include inflation of what we're seeing coming into just normal utilities, but also these expansion projects and the improvement projects.
Thank you.
Yep.
With the mini splits versus, is it a boiler? Yeah, it is a boiler,
Yeah.
middle school, right? Are they able to decrease the heating capacity with the boiler upstairs then?
We are working with our other provider on that, NCC. We're actually gonna try to get these units integrated into our Delta control system, so we can just control the whole system from our computer instead of having to do two different systems. The way we're setting it up, we believe we are, and so we're going through that process right now to be able to reduce the heat upstairs and be able to utilize those units when we need to.
Cool.
Yeah.
You should see hopefully a trade-off in efficiency with
Yeah.
those mini splits that are super high efficiency, and then the diesel boiler, which has its own inefficiencies.
Yes, it does. And I mentioned this at the last board meeting, we are future-proof in this project. So as we expand and hopefully are successful in a bond, looking at what this system does for the upstairs, can we mirror it downstairs at the middle school? Is this the way we want to go for other schools, or do we want to look at other, because CRE, Clackamas River, is a different setup. It might make more sense to do a different system, but this is a great pilot test to see where we're at and how we can handle this.
Just thinking about when we get the Chromebooks, do you have an idea of what percentage we're cycling out this year?
Oh,
You don't have to have a number, you can do it next month.
yeah, I can get that to you next month. We do have that data, though. Yes, I can provide that to you.
Thank you.
And what we anticipate our return is. We've been successful the last few years on getting those Chromebooks back, so I'll have some data for you next month.
Awesome. All right, anything else for Mike?
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, next up, Finance and Accountability Report. Christina.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. I'm here to share with you our financials for the month ending April 30th. Taking a look at our general fund, our projected revenue is $47.7 million. And then our projected expenditures is $41.5 million. And then our projected ending fund balance is $6.2 million. Going on to our budget to actuals, for our instructional services, our encumbrances and our year-to-date are at 95.4%, and our support services at 92.3%. So we're right on track for spending for year end. We did close out our POs at the first week of May, so our month we should have a little bit better idea of where we're at. Looking at our capital projects funds, our projected revenue is $1.7 million, and our projected expenditures is $761, showing an in-fund balance of $915,000. Any questions about the financials before I roll on to enrollment? Okay. For our month ending, our elementary was at 953, which is up 4 from last month. Our middle school is at 437, which is up 2. And our high school is at 522, which is up 3. So overall, we're at 1,912, which is up 9 from last month and up 38 from last year. And with the charter school is at 1,272, which is down 45 from last month, but still up 37 from last year. So as a Estacada School District in whole, we're at 3,184, which is down 36 from last month, but up 75 from last year. And so here is our chart, and you can see that we did climb quite a bit in April, which is not a normal for us, so that shows some good things coming. Any questions?
I think it's worth noting some of those kindergarten connection numbers. You want to dive into that a little bit?
Do you have?
Sure, I mean, just to repeat is kind of what you're saying here. Yeah, so we had our kindergarten connection last week, and we had 58 students who are planning to come to Rivermill Elementary School kindergarten next year, and 36 students planning to come to Clackamas River Elementary School next year as incoming kindergarten. And what we've used pretty faithfully over the course of the last 5 years, and it's proven to be pretty accurate, is the families who show up to the kindergarten connection, we typically times that by 2, and that's what we project will be our kindergarten enrollment. And so based on those numbers, we are anticipating right now a class size of 160 plus kindergartners, which will be, I believe, the largest class coming into our K-12 system arriving as kindergarten. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of supporting the growth that's entering into our elementary schools.
Comparison, I brought it back to the enrollment for comparison, for class by class.
Great.
We got 2 more small classes coming up, and then
Yep.
big ones.
The other noteworthy growth that we are seeing, and we're trying to address both budgetarily and supporting it with bilingual employees, is we have had this year 24 children come into the Estacada School District who this is their first experience in the United States, and they do not speak any English whatsoever. And 2 of our growth of 9 this month, 2 of which just came on Monday. And so we're continuing to see throughout the year some transitional enrollment as well, which we greatly welcome, and we're excited to support both with staff and everything else. But that's a noteworthy addition to our enrollment as well.
Great.
Any other questions?
One comment I do like on this, how you split out the Deep Creek Learning Academy and then the CCC.
Yes.
So we have an idea of where those high school kids are going. So I appreciate that.
Excellent.
Okay.
What is Deep Creek?
It is the old RTS.
That's what they decided to name it?
The students named it Deep
Oh,
Creek, Deep
interesting.
Creek Learning Academy. The why behind it, since we're here,
Yeah.
is we asked the students of the Road to Success program, our alternative school, to come up with their 3 most favorite names. And the only parameters that we gave them is they had to be either natural, geological, or historical names of the 750 square mile school district. And so they came up with Deep Creek, Lost Creek, and Carver were the 3. And the kids' unanimous number 1 was Deep Creek. So Deep Creek Learning Academy. And for those of you listening or who don't know, Deep Creek is the creek right after Barton, after you're going to Clackamas, that you cross right before you go into the Carver Curves, which is territory of the Estacada School District. Do not cross it.
And it's pronounced crick.
Crick, sorry, Deep
So
Creek.
you know.
Yes, Deep Creek. And so, yeah, so that is the new name for the downtown school.
All right. Christina, is there anything not discussed or shown in the financial report that we need to be aware of?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. All right, on to item E, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board of Directors, and I just want to start by thanking both the Board of Directors for their support and our entire school district and employees, as last week we engaged in a very significant crisis response. We had to secure the entire school district until we were able to identify a potential threat of a student in possession, not a student of Estacada nor a resident of Estacada, an unauthorized visitor from a different community who was reportedly in possession of a weapon. I also want to extend our greatest thanks to the Clackamas County Sheriff's Department when, upon that report, they sent 26 police cars and 2 drones. So within a matter of minutes, the Estacada school community was probably one of the safest places in the United States, which was very cool, and we appreciate that support. The students in the group that we had concerns about for threats, possible threats, were found, were searched, and searched to be proven not to be in possession of the weapons that were suspected or reported. But once the Clackamas County Sheriff's Department gave us the green light, we felt safe enough to return students back to their families and end the school day in a normal operation status. I just want to say thank you to our parents for their patience and their trust and support in our school districts. Being the incident commander on the district when we were in this, I just wanted to also report to the board how proud I was of our organization. This was, of course, we drill this, we practice this regularly. This was not a drill, and I was so pleased with communication, efficiency, and our ability to work as an entire organization to protect our kids, protect our employees, and do the things necessary to make sure that we were feeling confident about when to lift off this secure situation and let our kids return out to the public as well. So I'm very proud of that. And again, the more that we can practice it, the better we get at it. It's unfortunate that we have to practice these things, but this is why we do it. So when that event occurs, our school district is ready to move right into crisis mode, just like a very practiced veteran. So I'm proud of that. I also want to say thank you to board leadership, both Chair Rydell and Vice Chair Wheeler. Obviously, this is a very big time with very big decisions, pending legal conversations, and just as we try to navigate the political field of the school bonds and other types of things as we transition into a school district that meets the needs of our community, I've just appreciated our ability to converse really 24/7 as we kind of work through that piece of it. And that's something that I think the community doesn't understand is even though this is a one day a month school board, this entire group of elected school board members are always talking about schools, engaging in schools, and serving and supporting their superintendent. And so I'm just appreciative of the guidance. It makes me better, and I appreciate that as well. Right now, I'm going around the entire school district on a superintendent roadshow as I speak to all of our employee groups about the upcoming budget, as well as the bond and our strategic plan. I have really enjoyed getting to see so many different groups from cooks, custodians, bus drivers, and all of our great and respected educators in every building. It's one of my favorite times of year to be able to go out and talk about these things, and it's just been a joy. But I'm in the middle of that process right now, and I just wanted to share that with you. I also am pleased with our communications team and every single person who has even played a little role in trying to educate and inform our community and advocate for the needs of our children inside this school district. As ballots now have come into each and every single mailbox, the district is making its closing argument for why our kids need an investment to set themselves up to repair aging facilities, address growth and capacity, and provide a competitive experience just like kids from other communities get to have from communities who do invest in their schools through a bond. And so if you have had a bold conversation, if somebody has said something mean about you on social media, if you are just someone who is willing to take a stand and advocate for the needs of our kids. Your superintendent would just like to say and express a thank you, and I too am getting called names, and these are the things that just happen as you try your best to advocate for something that is so important. And so stick with it, and we're going to continue to advocate for our school district to our community. And then lastly, my last two things, I want to thank our budget committee. We just got to complete our first second budget committee meeting of the year. That budget committee, in partnership with our school board, has advanced our budget proposal to the next round, which is at the school board meeting next June. I encourage our community to scour through that budget. We are committed to transparency, and we are committed to ensuring that this budget reflects and represents who our community is and what they want their public school system to be. And I think if you take 5, 10 minutes, or even an hour to look at this proposed budget, I think you will see that our heart is in the right place, and we're trying very hard to do the right things, to put the money in the right places to support Estacadas children. And then lastly, to the board and to people listening this evening, the Estacada School District next week is about to embark in its second ever May break. What is May break? Many people ask. It is a very innovative and cutting-edge approach to meet the needs of today's learner, today's employee, and today's family. And what I mean by that is this district went away from the traditional norms of doing what every other school district does since the 1900s and does school from September to June like the old agrarian days. As we look at data to make our decisions, we look at the month of May, and it has the highest student absent rate, and it has the highest employee absent rate. And so as we look at that data and try to solve some of the solutions to these root cause problems, our school district has made an intentional effort to take an additional week off, which is coming up this coming week. And by the way, this week that is May break is the #1 student attendance absenteeism and employee absenteeism. And so this should allow us to keep our expectations high, to keep our employees fresh and rested, to finish the school year strong, and to allow the families to take their late spring vacations and spring breaks, which they were already doing even when school was in session. And so we're excited to accommodate that voice and move in that direction. Of course, we are always monitoring the data on these innovative moves and educated and calculated risks, but right now our May breaks have proven to be excellent, and we will continue to monitor that. But I just wanted to remind the board, in case the board gets questions, and the public who is listening this evening, why we have May break while other school districts do not. And that's your superintendent's report.
Awesome. Thank you. Questions, comments for Superintendent Carpenter?
I have a comment on the lockdown. I happened to be in an airplane at 37,000 feet. I chose to buy the Wi-Fi, and I got an update on my phone, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, do I show my wife? Do I not? And so I had like a calm over me because I know all the stuff in the backstory that we're doing as far as preparing for this and the SRO on campus and all the other things that we're doing to be preemptive if something like this happens.
Yes.
She didn't take the same approach. She started freaking out a little bit. And so as I would get an update, whether it was from, because she didn't get Wi-Fi, she
Always buy the Wi-Fi.
always buy the Wi-Fi. She was, peeking over, and we were also internally getting things that the greater public wasn't. And a sense of calm was over me because I knew that all the right pieces were in place. The threat was being mitigated, and so I felt great about it. Not the situation, but how we handled it. So
Thank you.
I appreciate that, and there was a few other Estacadians on the plane with me that as we landed, everybody's getting dings, and I said, it's done.
Yeah.
Everybody's home, and kids are finding their way on the buses and all that stuff. So I just appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the
Thank
feedback you got from the community, but
Feedback was positive as a whole. Yep, thank you.
good.
All right, anything else for Ryan? All right, thank you for the report.
if I could say one more thing, which is against the rules, but Director Martinez, I thought, actually had some very insightful feedback and comments during the process, and there were opportunities for us to improve in this situation as well, and we have at length, including working with all of our employees to talk about the things that did go well, as well as the things that did have the opportunity to improve. But one of the things that as a community and as a school district we need to continue to educate is to ensure that our children do not let people in to the schools. These students gained entrance because a student recognized one of them and opened the door for them. And so for 7 minutes, these kids were in our schools, just hanging out and shooting hoops. At that time, there wasn't a threat, but the learning that we have taken from that is that we need to really tighten that down. And I will plug the bond one more time. Our camera systems are not good, and we have 10,000 doors at Estacada High School, and an investment in our facilities will allow our schools to be safer inherently, because in 1965, these were not threats, and now they are, and so there we go. Anyways, I just wanted to mention you and thank you for your help and guidance in that too.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item F, reports and presentations. We've got a couple. Science curriculum adoption. Jennifer Berman and Kate Dean, I believe, are here. Come on down. Welcome.
Okay, thank you for having us. I'm Jennifer Berman, Director of Teaching and Learning.
I'm Kate Dean. I am the Secondary District Improvement Coach this year.
So we're excited to bring to you today for approval our science adoption, and we have spent the entire year working on this process, similar to the last couple of years with math and language arts. This year was science, so we're excited to show you what we did, the process we went through, and then answer any questions that you might have. Before we do get started, though, I want to give a big shout out to Kate for all of her work on this. Obviously, she is a science teacher at heart, and so this was really wonderful to have her expertise in this. And she worked very hard, worked with outside agencies. We had to do some extra work because we wanted to make sure that we were doing what was best for our kids and our staff versus what ODE had offered us on the easy plate. And so she did do some things that were above and beyond to make sure that we picked the right materials for our district. So just a big shout out to Kate and thank her for that. So like I said before, we have gone through a language arts and math adoption the last 2 years. So going into year 3 and looking at science, for elementary, we decided to take a look at what was best for our staff and our students in this, because 2 years back to back of a full curriculum adoption is a lot for staff to undertake. And with the amount of time that we actually spend with science, we were really looking at, are we gonna do a full comprehensive science adoption, or do we wanna continue doing what we're doing right now with science, which is working? And so for elementary, we did decide to continue doing what we are doing. Our Language for All program is where we implement our science and social studies standards. And in that, it's working really well to support our EL students along with all our other students daily. And with that, we've been using Mystery Science, which is an online curriculum that offers the science support. It hits our science standards. It offers some hands-on project type things, and we actually can fit that into our day most of the time compared to other science programs that are happening in other schools. So for elementary, our adoption for the next 7 years will be to continue with Mystery Science and keep it in our Language for All program at the K-5 level.
So the secondary process, as Jen alluded to, was a little bit different this year. We started back in November, where we initially pulled administrators together to really have a conversation about why the process was going to be different. After some initial kind of different types of meetings and different levels of meetings at the ESD, the state level, et cetera, we then kind of went into a normal adoption process around one independently adopted curriculum for the high school, or actually 2 independently adopted, and then we were considering 2 for the middle school. Click it. This quote comes from some of the work, some of the background work that was done prior to beginning the adoption. I think nationwide, there has been a national recognition that the majority of science curricula that publishers are providing for states to review for adoption do not meet the needs of the next generation science standards. And so we were finding our educators were doing a lot of developing their own curriculum, trying to their best ability, meet those standards. And quickly, we realized that what the state had recommended was not going to meet what we knew our students and teachers needed. So as far as process, I was just going to highlight some of the unique parts of this process, a little different than what you would typically see. Early in the year, we had statewide science educator collaboratives begin to address the mismatch between what the state was offering us and the actual standards, the three-dimensional learning that we all know best meets those standards. We had an administrator and coaches meeting to discuss that, to look at data, recognizing that we had some gaps in our science education, specifically at the secondary level. We then brought teachers, secondary teachers, middle school and high school in to have that same conversation, established a vision, examined rigor, relevance, engagement, and then developed a 612 screening tool that we could use for those curricula that we did decide to review. We reviewed, scored those. They were both digital and print media. Elicited staff feedback, had a lot of really positive responses from both our middle school and high school teachers. In an attempt to improve the responses we got from secondary parents and community members, we solicited community input during our parent conferences in the spring. And that actually did result in some of the highest numbers that I can remember of parents taking time to review the materials and providing, again, it was 100% positive feedback. We did some piloting. Some of those pilots are wrapping up kind of as we speak. And then we reviewed and discussed, and it was very, very easy to come to a consensus around the materials that we all preferred to adopt. So key conclusions, we are adopting curriculum that best meets the next gen science standards. So we are looking at anchor phenomenon-based units that have a lot of literacy components to them, a lot of student discourse components to them that are teaching students the science skills that they need in order to pursue post-secondary options. And really they're addressing the three dimensions of science. So it's content, practices, and then concepts, cross-cutting concepts. So. And just to assure you that both of these curricula have been designated or been given the Next Gen Design Badges, which is the highest kind of honor that recently created curriculum can earn, that really kind of shows they are high quality, aligned with the standards that colleges and post-secondary are expecting students are exposed to.
So what we're asking for today is the approval of Mystery Science for K-12, Twig Science for 6-8, and Open SciEd for our secondary high school experience. Any questions?
Questions?
Of course I got one. So when we pass the bond, we're gonna move sixth graders back to the elementary schools. And we've adopted a K-5. Is it easy enough to pull that 6 and put it with the 5?
Yep.
And have no
100%.
issues there?
100%. They're standalone sixth grade curriculum that can just be shifted to.
And as far as teaching that in a class where you have a standalone science teacher versus a elementary type setting, there's no problem there?
We should be fine with that.
It should all work out.
It should all work out. Even equipment, we've thought about that process. And
Yeah.
the
Perfect.
equipment is transferable.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you for going above and beyond and looking
Yeah.
to the future. I mean, it's,
My pleasure.
I like that the extra steps were taken.
Our kids deserve it.
Here, here. All right. Thank you
Okay.
both very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up is a PAC update. Mr. Ryan Austin, come on down.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So I have some notes on my phone because I've been too busy to type them up, so I apologize for that. But we are 13 days away from the election, so things are moving well, a little nerve-wracking at this point, but they're going good. To touch on something that was mentioned earlier, we are less cautious about our messaging than the district, and so we have been pushing the numbers and the lower numbers and using the 2,000 bond as an example, because those numbers do matter to the community. So we are using that in our messaging regularly. We finished our community canvassing. So every household that was identified through the polling was contacted and either talked to or materials were left for them. Some of them were revisited as well. So that canvassing went really well. It was a very positive experience for pretty much everybody involved. Very little negative, other than a few houses that maybe shouldn't have been knocked on, but that's, to be expected here and there. We have about 2,800 more handwritten postcards that are in process right now, being sent out to people who are likely yes voters within the district. That is in addition to the 3,000 or so that we sent out earlier during the campaign. These postcards are meant to hit while they have ballots in hand. They were given out in batches of 30 or 40 at a time to a lot of people. If any of you would like some, we have a lot of extra ones. We have a phone banking event tomorrow night at Reliance Connects. I would really love to see some support from the board there if anybody has time. It starts at 5:15, it goes until 7:30. Just so you know, if you need to know where it is or anything, call me and I'll tell you. Got some really great op-eds being written that have shown up in the paper. I don't know if any of you have seen those, but good community support being shown, just like the videos from the district and some of that stuff. So we have an event this upcoming Monday with a few members of the board. Thank you to those of you who were available for that. So it's going to be a Facebook Live. It's Ask the Board. And it's a outside of the district, not district affiliated time for people to ask questions that maybe the district can't talk about, things that they have questions that they haven't gotten answers for. So that will be facilitated on the Yes for Esticated Schools Facebook page Monday, May 13th at 6 p.m. Please join in and watch. We would appreciate your support. We have some pretty significant social media advertising campaigns that are running now through the 21st. Fundraising has been very good for us, and the community has been very good for us. And so we have the ability to really make a big final push now for this last couple of weeks. We have a ballot drop-off event this Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. at the library. We're going to be handing out popsicles to people that come and drop their ballots off. We're going to run some ads for that. It's going to be 90 degrees outside, so we're hoping that kids really want to come get some popsicles and their parents will drop their ballots off to get them. And the parents can have some too. We are sending out we are putting together some messaging right now that was hopefully going to go out to all of our youth sports parents through things like Sports Engine and Game Changer over the next few days and into May break. That's kind of an untapped market, if you will, of people that we're trying to get in front of. So overall, there is a lot going on right now, and it is a big push through the last couple weeks. So we're hopeful, and we're doing what we can.
Awesome.
Hosting a count the ballots event on the 21st or anything?
Yeah, we will probably put something together for the night of the election. We haven't got that far yet, but yeah, cool. A celebration.
Yes.
Well, and I would just start by saying thank you for the time and effort. I have no doubt that you didn't have time to type it up because you're too busy, and I'm sure your business is going to really welcome you back when this is all over. But the time and effort and energy that you've put, and the team that you've put together as well, I don't want to leave them out, but it's an enormous amount of effort, and commend you on that and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. Great job.
Yeah.
So much.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, next up, FFA update. Mackenzie Willie, come on down. Ooh, Mackenzie Willie End 2. Yes. Awesome.
button like
I just hit the button.
There you go. Keep clicking.
That one. We went to the state convention and we ended up taking 6 of our members, and Cassidy got her state degree and she was the first in STK in over a decade to get this, so that was pretty cool. We did a lot of workshops when we went there, so that was pretty fun to do.
We hosted the district floral event and our team was second.
Awesome.
Our plant sale was really successful. We fundraised about $400, or pause, I don't know her number, $4,000. My bad. Miss Willie worked really hard getting the horticulture classes to go out into the classroom and be able to do all those opportunities and make sure everything's always watered and everything, so.
We helped set up the Ag Fest and helped with the petting zoo. Miss Willie ended up bringing pigs for that, and it was a fundraiser which made $1,000. Is it mine? Okay.
Yeah.
Cassidy Moore and Eli Clark won all their classes they entered and represented us well.
In the classroom, we got to hatch chicks from little tiny eggs, so that was really fun. The ag class, or intro to ag class, went to Freenup Enterprises logging site, so that was pretty fun. They got to do a lot of opportunities with that. We went to Lady Lane's farm, and we got to see how milk is made and processed, and got to see a lot of that, so that was pretty fun.
And then just some updates from my end. Number-wise, we started with 3 kids at County Fair when I started in August this year, and now we're taking it upwards towards 8 or 10 in a variety of different areas, so that's pretty exciting. And then I talked with the counselors this last week about the classes and what's been registered for. This year I teach currently like 115 students, and registered for next year, and obviously the number will change a little bit, but it's moved up to 182.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting, moving upward, and because the whole point of this year was to rebuild and kind of get things going. And so that's where these grants kind of play a role in that I've applied for. So I currently have a 20-day extended contract. That was all used up by March. So I've applied for a summer grant so that I can still work with those kids that are going to fair. We're hoping to go to a livestock judging camp at Lynn Benton Community College as well. And then I've applied for a grant to build a little barn, and it will be movable, because I know that was concerned with the grant and the bond and everything. But the goal is to build a rabbitry, because it's one of the cheaper projects that a student could get into, and it's a pretty good turnaround on profit for them to take to county fair, so hopefully we'll just continue to grow that, and taking kids to fair and getting that opportunity, but then also having that small shed type building that we could have animals in, like I could bring a pig in for our swine unit, rabbits there to work on in class, so just more hands-on opportunities for our classes. So things are moving upward for the Ag and FFA program like expected. And then the next thing is that on May 30th, that's our banquet. It's our end of the year awards ceremony. You are all more than welcome to come. My dad's gonna cook again, so if you missed out on the tri-tip at our dinner in December, he's back per the kids' request to make his potatoes and pork loins. So we hope to see you there. Doors open at 5. It's in the commons here at the high school, and then we'll get things started about 6.
Said May 30th?
May 30th, yep. But that's all we've got for you.
So
Questions
one
or-
question, last time you were here, we talked about Kiss the Pig.
Yeah.
So how did the Kiss the Pig event go?
Things got away from us. But everything that we have been trying to do. And so hopefully this next year we'll get to build and do that next year. Right now I currently only have 2 officers that serve in our FFA, but we have a bunch of applications coming in for this next year, so hopefully we'll have a full functioning team, and that will give me a little support so that we
Awesome.
can do more things like that.
How many kids are in FFA right now?
So technically, every kid that's enrolled in an ag class is considered an FFA member through the state. But right now, we have about 12 that actively participate in contests or trips that we take. So that's a pretty good stretch since I started with 3 when I got here. So we're
Yeah.
growing.
Great. Thanks for everything you're doing for the
Yeah.
Yeah, I really
program.
appreciate looking through the newsletters.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending.
Of course.
All right.
And thank you
Nice
girls
job.
for coming,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
young ladies.
Okay, on to item G, which is discussion, and we have none. Hearing of citizens for action items only.
None.
None of that. All right, so let's move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes a package of one or more items to be voted on as a unit. However, if any board member is not in favor of one or more agenda items and prefers to take a separate action, a request to the chair anytime prior to the vote will remove that item for a separate vote. So first up is the consent agenda.
Chair Idell, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I would like to make one mention from board member suggestion off to the side or privately, and that is, both Denise and I will make a commitment to get the board members the notes of the prior meeting sooner, so that they have the opportunity to review that.
Awesome. Thank you both for that. Okay, any other discussion for the consent agenda? All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
On to item J, to appoint the new budget committee member.
Chair Idell, I move to appoint Tom McEnany to position number 2.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional discussion?
I would just like to say that Tom McEnany has been a great community member, doing his civic duties. He is a season ticket holder to school board meetings, and has always been someone with a vigilant and watchful eye, and that's exactly the person that we want on our budget committee.
Agreed. Absolutely. So thank you for saying that. Okay, it's your last chance to bow out. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Welcome. On to item K for the curriculum adoption.
Chair Idell, I move to approve the committee's recommendation to purchase science instruction materials K through 12 and approve our use of mystery science, K-5 and twig science for 6-8 and open SciEd 9-12 as our adopted science instructional materials.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we had a good presentation, so any other questions or comments? Not questions, because they're not here anymore, comments, deliberation? I would echo Director Shibahara's sentiment to both Jenna and Kate who are here, but I appreciate the effort that goes into it, and I think too often it's easy to rubber stamp curriculum and just say, this is what's presented, this is what the state recommends, we'll go with the state recommendation, and the work to identify that that's not actually gonna be productive for us is huge, and kind of in that additional level, extra mile for curriculum adoption, so I appreciate that.
I think it's even better knowing that implementing 2 curriculums already, that there's a little bit of probably stress over that. To try to do that back to back and to take a year to actually understand where the gaps are was really smart, so that way they're not bombarding all the teachers with everything. Especially because this one seems really related to ELA standards as well, and there's some
Yes.
connection between the two, so being able to have a instructional map for that is good.
Very good.
All right, any other discussion for the curriculum adoption?
The only question that I've got is, how much is it?
Good question. It should be in the board
It's in the
backup.
backup.
Yeah. I know it is less than $300,000.
$19,530 for the K-5 mystery, $184,603 for the 6-8 twig, and $16,000 for the SciEd.
Yeah.
Total of $248,223.
Yep. And we budgeted 300,000, so this is gonna come in under budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also just, it's a 7 years subscription to that budget. So,
Correct.
so the good news is, it's a lot of money right now, but we don't really have to spend any more for a long time.
It's true. The good news is, this is wrapped up for the next 7 years. The bad news is, next year is health and sexual education, so get ready. Buckle up.
Okay, we're gonna save that conversation for next
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
All right.
This meeting back under control there, Chair, right now.
Any other, any other questions, comments?
No, thank you.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
All right, on to item L, hearing of citizens for non-action items.
We have Tom
Our
McEnany.
season ticket holder. You're gonna abstain? Okay.
Okay.
You're not gonna make me read that paragraph like a disclaimer at the end of a car dealer's commercial? All right. All right. Then with that, on to item M, adjournment. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night.